My father married my stepsister's mother when I was 4 and she was 3. We have lived together most of our lives and our family. She and I were extremely close. She developed cancer when she was 14 and was sick for about 2 years. She's since made a full recovery. During that time, my parents became understandably overprotective. They also asked a lot of me. I quit my extracurriculars so I could get a job. The money went towards her medical bills, and so I could drive her to appointments. I didn't go to dances and any fun activities. I did needed to include her. I did almost all of this willingly. The inception being having to quit my high school volleyball team. I did throw a bit of tantrum about that, but I was swiftly punished. And I think having one emotional breakdown was pretty chill given the circumstances. Anyhow, I go to college and met my ex. We'll call him Ben. When I'm junior, we fall in love, blah blah blah. He and I move in together when we graduate, so we've been living together for about 3 years. We were serious until July, when I walked into my bedroom and saw him fucking my sister. I broke it off. Tears were shit. He moved out, etc. My sister apologized at first, but then backed off. I thought she was giving me space, but last week she called and asked if we could meet up. She told me that she and Ben were in love and were just telling me as a courtesy before they started posting photos online. Distraught, I left her in the restaurant by herself and did not pay my portion of the bill. She later Venmoed me asking for the money. She told my parents, who then called me to their house, telling me how disappointed in me they are for not supporting my sister's relationship with Ben. They brought up the fact that because she had cancer as a teenager, she never learned proper social etiquette and has a hard time meeting people. I don't buy this, in part because I've seen her socialize just fine, and since we spent a good chunk of the time she was, that will also mean that I should have bad social skills as well, by that logic. They told me that if I don't accept my sister's and Ben's relationship, they may have to go no contact with me. I reminded them that I'm also their daughter, and they should understand my point of view. But they are adamant that this is about me being jealous of her. For the record, I'm not jealous of her. I'm not upset that Ben picked her over me. I'm sad about the end of the relationship and do feel betrayed. But Lord knows that I don't want to be with a cheater. What I'm upset about is the fact that my sister chose Ben over me, that she slept with Ben knowing he and I were in a long-term, committed relationship, and continues to be with him knowing how much it hurts me. Now, no one in my immediate family is talking to me, and I'm getting messages from aunts and uncles and cousins telling me that I'm an asshole and a selfish witch. Yeah, thank you everyone so much for your comments. This has gotten more attention than I expected, and I'm having trouble keeping up. So if I don't say thank you, then thank you. I've been given a lot of food for thought. To be honest, while I've had moments where I've been resentful or upset about my teenage years, I've always thought that I did the right thing for my sister and for my family. And that time wasn't all miserable. I was so close to my sister and we made things as fun as we could. But I didn't think of it as an abdication of my parents' responsibilities or that they were going wrong by me, which many of you pointed out. I definitely have a lot to think about. Thank you all again for making me feel less crazy about all of this. And Sometimes you can only laugh. Just get off of the phone with my cousin who saw this post and said he could explain a few things. I asked him why he was here instead of school. He asked me why I was here instead of work. And I said, touche. He told me that after my conversation with my mom, she went to his house and talked to my aunt. And here's the deal. Turns out my sister is not only in a relationship with Ben, but 4 months pregnant, which means she and Ben were fucking for longer than I had even guessed. Apparently, my parents are so adamant that I forgive her because I'm already ruining their experience of their first grandchild. That's right. I'm less important than my stepmom posting ultrasounds to Facebook. This is where we are. Anyhow, I call over work sick the rest of the day, and now I'm going to drink a lot of alcohol. Like, a lot of alcohol. And then start thinking about what the fuck I'm going to do. I was asked for an update, and thus, here I am. Two things to clarify before I update. I didn't have a shitty childhood. The favoritism started when my sister was diagnosed. I moved out soon after and have been pretty independent since then. Not saying that how my parents treated me during those years were, okay, but I wasn't Cinderella. I did not drink myself into oblivion. I had 2 white wine spritzers, but I appreciate the concerns from folks. Anyhow, the update? I got in touch with my sister and asked her to meet up again at the park. Not Bill involved. Asked her if she was pregnant, and she told me the truth. She said she wanted us to still be in each other's lives and that she wanted me to be in her babies. So, I forget who, I'm sorry, mentioned that she may ask me to be the godmother, and that person was correct. But as many of you pointed out, if I didn't cut her off, I'll just become her bank and daycare employee. So I told her I could no longer be in her life, and I left her crying on park bench and felt like the shittiest person in the world. I emailed my parents and told them how betrayed I felt and that I would be cutting off contact with them. To my stepmom's credit, she apologized. She explained that she never thought my sister would live to have kids, and that she let her emotion over that get the better on her. Understandable. My dad said nothing, which is honestly what sucked the worst about all of this. Ben tried messaging me from a burner account for the first time since the breakup, but I blocked him without reading it. I didn't go in the clear and post a story to Facebook as some suggested, but I sent an email to the extended family members who I care about. I explained the situation and how I'll be distancing myself from my family. Some have made it an us versus them situation, and as much as I appreciate the support, feeling like I'm in some feeling battle just makes me more tired. So I haven't been talking too much of anyone in my family. I feel lonely and crappy, but I think I made the right decision. Anyhow, not the most exciting update in the world, but hopefully everyone knows that I'm not dead. I do really appreciate the support I've gotten. It made me smile during a really shitty time. And hey, if anyone in the greater Boston area wants an extra guest at Thanksgiving, let me know. Some people were interested in an update, so I'm spending Thanksgiving with a friend and her family, so I won't be alone. Thanks to everyone who offered to host me. It was so sweet. I'm still not in touch with my family, but I know that Ben and my sister are having problems. I know this because he showed up at my place and cried for 3 hours. To make a long story short, My breakup last summer with ex was volcanic. He's now expecting a baby with my stepsister within the next 6 weeks or so. Since I found out about the pregnancy, he tried to get in touch with me 6 times through email, text, burn accounts, has tried to get mutual friends to talk to me for him, and showed up at my place. The letter was the only time I humored him. He told me he was sorry, he loves me. He doesn't want to be with my stepsister and wants to get back together with me. I told him tough titties. He made his bed, and now he's got to lay in it with her. I haven't dated much since July because of my life's implosion. But in November, a friend from college messaged me out of the blue. We hadn't talked in a long time. He referred to us for the rest of the past. And X1 were good friends, but had a falling out of something fantasy football related the year after we graduated. And I stopped talking to him out of solidarity or whatever. Anyhow, we go on a date. We click. We go on a few more dates. We become exclusive in early December. I was feeling really hopeful about this until this morning. I was supposed to meet X2 at the New Year's party last night. He got there before I left the house and texted me saying that X1 was at the party and asked whether I still wanted to come. I declined and went to another friend's house and have a pretty good time. I tried to call X2 at midnight, but he didn't pick up. I didn't think much about it. Anyhow, I got to bed late, and when I wake up this morning, I have a message from X2 saying we're done. I couldn't even respond because he'd blocked me everywhere. I talked to a friend who was at the party the exes were at last night, and he said the two of them had spent a good chunk of time chatting with each other, but he didn't know what they were talking about. I'm not close with anyone else who was at the party, so I don't really have anyone else to talk. Like, okay, it was a 2-month-old relationship. I'm sad, but I'm not birthed. But the paranoid part of my mind is really concerned that X1 said something that resulted in X2 becoming X2. X2 has made it abundantly apparent that he doesn't want to talk to me again, and I don't want to push that boundary, but I'm so confused. I could contact X1, but I get the feeling that it will open a floodgate of drama. I could also try talking to other mutual friends to see if they've heard anything, but I also don't really want to spread this as a rumor if it wasn't true. I don't know. I'm at loss. Any advice here? I'm spiraling thinking that my ex is going to try to ruin every relationship I have for the rest of my life. My last 2 partners have cheated on me. The first was a very serious relationship. We lived together. We talked about marriage and buying a house. He even took 2 pictures of us as kids and photoshopped them together to show what our kids might look like one day. The result was terrifying but hilarious, and I had it as the background of my phone for a month. I woke in on him sleeping with my stepsister. Now she's pregnant, due in the near future, and he's with her. I know he's not happy. I know he regrets what he did. I know that he loved me, and none of that stopped him from fucking my stepsister in our bed. I spent a long now being upset at her and writing him off as just a bad decision that I waste time on. But now I find myself mourning what we had. My stepsister and I grew up together and have loved each other most of our lives, so it felt like that was the betrayal. But he and I choose each other. Out of all people on the earth, we looked each other in the eyes, committed to each other, and made a promise to stay faithful. And he lied. And he lied, and he lied, and he lied. And he let me go on loving him while he lied. And then a few months ago, another guy comes into my life. And for the first time in ages, I felt hopeful. I thought myself that maybe I could actually move on and live my life. I wasn't in love with him, but he was the kind of man I thought I could fall in love with. We were exclusive for about a month. Before we made the decision to be exclusive, I told him everything that had happened with my first ex and told him that I could never be with another cheater. I wake up on a New Year's Day to a text saying we have done. When I tried getting in touch, I found out he'd blocked me everywhere. Turns out, he met someone at the New Year's party and hooked up with her. Instead of telling me, he just blocked me everywhere and sent the lucky to message me a few weeks later with a real story and a half-assed apology. I wanted to be angry, and maybe part of me is, but as I'm sitting here, I'm just thinking, what if it's me? What if I'm just not lovable? What if it's never going to happen with me? The thing is, I've been a pretty confident person. I went through bullshit as a kid, but I got through it and grew stronger. I'm pretty good looking. Thought I'll immediately put on a little weight in the past couple of weeks. I've been told that I'm fun. I hold down a good job and make decent money. I also live my life according to my values. I've always put my family and partner first because that's just how I believe it should be done. And I thought that I will be prioritized in turn. I have lost most of my family because they would rather have my stepsister's baby in their life than me. My friends have been fair weather for the most part, and I know that I'm a laughingstock in my friend group. As much as they pretend to pity me to my face, I feel the little spark I've always had fading. I don't chime in on conversations anymore. I've stopped putting on cute clothes when I go out. I don't plan anything, so I don't have anything to be disappointed about. Soon, I'll be the same age as my mom was when she died. I never knew her, but I've always loved her, thinking of her watching over me. I don't remember the funeral, but it was one of those funerals where there wasn't a dry eye in the house. She lit up a room, people tell me. She was a good woman, and my worst moments. I wonder what it will be like if I died right now. Would anyone cry? Would anyone care? Would anyone even come? Anyhow, sorry for writing a novella, just not sure what to do anymore and who to talk to. If you read this, thank you. I thought that things on the internet died after a couple days, so color me surprised when I still get requests for updates on the regular. Long story short, I don't have much to update, and don't end up going to New Mexico because I conveniently got COVID the week before I was supposed to go. The baby was hot, but I have had no contact with the baby or the parents. I've done a pretty good job of insulating myself from news about them, the rest of my family. My life is pretty much the same as it was. So sorry to the folks who are hoping I have some kind of happy ending to slap onto all of this. Things are improving just because time barrels, and you can grow numb to most anything given enough time and distance. But I have had no grand revelations. I have not met the love of my life, nor have elaborate revenge on those who have wronged me. I'm going to Europe for the first time in October, though, so that's exciting. I will say this. While I appreciate the solidarity and sometimes colorful language used to describe my sister and ban in my DMs, I wholeheartedly ask everyone reading this not to waste their energy on hating them. They're now parents to a newborn, and regardless on the things they have done in the past, I hope that they can come together as a happy family and raise their child in loving, healthy home. Hating them doesn't do anything for anyone, including ourselves, in the long run. Anyhow, that's the non-update update. I promise that if I met the love of my life at the top of the Eiffel Tower, or more likely stuffing my face with waffles and bridge, I will post another update. Until then, you can assume that I'm living, trying my best, and I'm very appreciative of all of the people out there in the world who have read this saga and reached out with support, even if I have not had the energy to respond to everyone. Ah, just wanted to give a more recent, less depressing update. I'm currently in my hotel room in Paris, eating a creme brulee in a bed, reading a romance novel, and about to go to sleep early. All is well. It's been a minute, but I still get messages from folks asking how I've been, and I'm up too early and a little bored, so I thought I'll give you the answer. I'm good. Made a lot of really positive changes in my life, and I'm in a much better place than I was last year. So, I'm not in contact with my family. The last show was in the spring 2022. My dad emailed me to ask if we could get lunch and talk. Me having always harbored this secret and foolish hope that we'd reconcile and go back to normal agreed. I arrived at the restaurant and waited 2 hours. When my server gave me a free dessert on the house with a pity look, I called it and went home. Later, I got an email from my stepmom, which I'm sure was full of excuses, but I didn't read it. But the really positive outcome of that was that made me realize that I needed to move far away and not come back, which I did. I'd always been really scared to move away from my family, but since I don't have one anymore, I ended up somehow spontaneously moving halfway across the country. The spontaneous move was stressful and expensive, but I can now say that moving was one of the best decisions of my life. I ended up reconnecting with an older friend and falling with her friend group, who are the loveliest people. I've never felt safer or more supported, and I feel so lucky to have them in my life. And it's less humid here. That's a big win. One of my friends is a counselor who helped me find a therapist that really clicked with. And it took a few tries and a therapist who didn't immediately want to do CBT with me, which just isn't my thing, but I found someone I really connect with. I'm not doing IVS therapy, and it has really changed my relationship with myself and helped me realize all of the hurt and pain I've been holding on to and start to heal. So, you all were right, and I needed to go to therapy. Give yourselves a pat on the back for that one. I also got diagnosed with depression, and I'm taking medicine for that. It was a bit hard to stomach as someone who always saw her value as being the happy person who takes care of everyone all the time, but it turns out that sometimes when your needs aren't met as a kid, you end up becoming the happy person who takes care of everyone all the time because you're afraid that if you show the slightest bit of unhappiness, you won't be loved anymore. And that's fucked up. I also met a guy, and I know you're saying, Papa, I know your decision making around men cannot be trusted. But I assure you that he's different. Instead of rolling his eyes when I'm feeling off, he'll either just quietly lay on the couch with me or go for a walk or he will say really dirty things to me in his spot on Kermit the Frog voice until I'm laughing so hard I can't focus on anything else. And bonus. He's far too busy painting D&D minis to find the time to cheat on me. So I'm not even worried about that. I did have to invest in on somewhat elaborate Renaissance fair costume, which is not something I had imagined for myself, but I'm having a great time. I'm gonna marry this dude someday. As for Ben and my sister, as far as I know, they're still together. Every so often, she tries to get in touch with some manner of burner account, but I ignore all of it. I'm still bummed that I'm not going to be a part of my siblings' life, and I do, honestly, still really miss my family. But I know this is right for me. Sorry, I don't have any info of them, since I know you're all already here to hear about their karmic downfall or whatever. But on my end, things are good. Better than they were before I found out I was being cheated on. My current life is built on real contentment, not fear disgusted, a shallow happiness. I'm not perfect, and I have a lot of problems that I'm working through. But I'm proud of myself, and I think my mom will be too. So I think it's going to be my last one update. Thanks you for supporting me and making me smile through some of the worst, weirdest points of my life. May you too be blessed with internet strangers who cheer you on and offer to sabotage the lives of the people who do you wrong. Bye.